so happy. All right, we're live. We are live. We are live. I am on the wrong site. We'll be getting going here quite shortly, guys. Yogizilla in the house.
What?
All right, you ready?
I wish I had a sound bit. Yes, I'm ready.
Hey guys, and welcome to episode 176 of the GamingDeath Podcast. I'm your host, Chris. There's no Hollow tonight. There's no Caleb tonight. Instead, we have the Podfather himself, Yogizilla.
Hi, I'm Don!
No, you're not Dawn. You're Yogizilla.
I had to keep it going.
Oh, you have to keep it going? All right.
That's your guys' one of your things.
That's Caleb and Hollow's thing. I fucking hate it, but I don't know how to tell them that.
Yeah, I kind of figured. But, you know, the audience is probably conditioned to it. So it's like, if I don't hear it at least once, it won't feel the same. It's branding, man.
It's branding. It's branding.
I miss Dawn, by the way. I hope she's doing well.
Dawn's doing great. She's actually probably laying on the bed. I don't know if she's watching Grey's Anatomy, which I just got her addicted to, but she might be. But
I got unaddicted to that show because that show's still going. It's what, season 12 or something?
They just got renewed for 13, I think. We're watching it because it's like up to season 11's on Netflix, and I'm on season 2. And I really enjoy it, so I'm like, all right, let's watch it.
It is a great show, especially once they get past the Dr. Heartthrob BS and start building up the other characters more. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, that's what we're waiting on. So, Yogi.
Oh, my bad.
Yogi.
Yo.
You are one of the founders, correct? One of? Or are you the? So he's confused me.
Yes, that's a very good thing to describe. So, the best way I can handle that, it's a solopreneur thing, right? I am a sole proprietor as far as like the day-to-day stuff and, you know, all the operations and coordinating everything, you know, and putting my money up. It's bootstrapped, you know. That's the main way it gets funded, and of course, you know, clients, sponsors, and donations, a very big thing. So it's my thing. But I don't talk about it too much because the moment people see it, like, oh, that's Yogi's network, it's like all of a sudden that devalues what it is we're doing, you know?
Hold on a second. Because there is a huge difference. Because I wouldn't ask you if you were the owner of the network. Because I honestly feel like everybody that has content on Geeky Antics and everybody that supports Geeky Antics are the owners, because it's such a community-driven experience. It's such a community-driven way to create and market.
Exactly.
It's all of our network. I was asking if you founded the network.
Yes.
I wasn't sure if you were the founder or if you had you and somebody else.
Yeah, it was me. Though I do give credit to Obi for being there on the initial days, because you know what we've been doing, what we do has existed before Geeky Antics was the brand, right? So, you know, not to go off on a long tangent, but it's basically rebranding of a number of different things we're doing. So I have a site that I affectionately called Y3B, and that's my personal site, and I've gotten a lot of like game development jobs there and marketing jobs, and I've been running that site for over 10 years. Okay. Then there's another site that's more on the fun side, more on the community side, where we talk about video games and, you know, geeky stuff of all sorts, and you know, that was Nipples of Fate, and we've been doing Nipples of Fate since the 90s. That the n-o-f.com has been registered since '99, but We've been doing that since before that. And that was always about like the community first and just having fun with games and never losing sight of that. Though we did do some competitive stuff like early MOG stuff, like when Game Battles was absolute ass, and I think it still is, but
yeah, it still is.
It was really janky before. It was bad. But you know, all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of rich history there, and yeah, now it's Geeky Antics, and we're more structured with it, and there's more of a clear vision and direction with it.
Now let me inform our listeners, because this is not going to be like a normal show. We're not going to be going about, like, we might talk about what we've been playing. We might talk. I don't know if Yogi's gotten a chance to play the new wing of Hearthstone, but I just finished it before the podcast.
I did get to play it.
So we might talk about that a little bit. But the meat and potatoes of this week's episode, I brought Yogi on because we're doing a huge push. He's doing a huge push. He's trying to get a lot of people involved in doing this huge push for the Geeky Antics Network. And as the founder of the GamingDeath Podcast and the GamingDeath brand as a whole, our buddy Jake is the one that hooked me and Yogi up together, him and Matt Bradford. And Yogi asked us to be part of the Geeky Antics Network. What was that, like 4 or 5 years ago?
It feels like that long, but it's only been like 3.
Has it only been 3?
Yeah, I know. The time's just flown by, right? Like
exactly. It's. I don't even know how long I've been doing this damn podcast for.
And that's a good thing, because time is this construct that mainly serves to stress us out.
Right. But
so.
But Yogi invited the GamingDeath Podcast. We were one of your first, right?
Yes. Yep.
We were on the ground level, and we joined Geeky Antics, and me and Yogi talked a lot back then about what his vision for Geeky Antics was. And I was gung-ho and super behind it. And I still am. And you may not have seen me be very active with the gang lately. In the past, everybody has a ton of shit going on. We all know this. And it's an excuse. Really what it is. I could have always donated time instead of playing a game, or donated time instead of watching Netflix for 2 hours. But with this renewed...
the Netflix binge watching is so dangerous, man.
With you've renewed the energy within me, Yogi. We've been talking a lot more lately. You've got me really excited for the stuff that's happening at Geeky Antics, and I really I believe in this wholeheartedly. And tonight we're going to talk about what the gang is, what happened, kind of the evolution of what's going on, and really what the mission of the gang is. So Yogi, what
All right.
for people that have no idea, what is the Geeky Antics Network?
So primarily, we are a network of creatives and geeks. In simple terms, that's like the 30-second elevator pitch. And if I still have person's attention, and what we do is we syndicate people's content to help them reach more people, and we basically establish different systems for meaningful collaboration. So what does that mean? Like most networks, when you look at YouTube networks and podcast networks, a majority of them are the standard model. It's you join a network and you benefit from the brand, the credibility of the bigger brand, but that's it. Like they don't really interact with each other. They don't really coach you. They don't give you advice. They don't hold you accountable. Really, it's just do whatever you want. You're part of us now.
Right. I don't mean to cut you off. The only network that I've seen and I've looked into joining in the past, it's just a pain in the ass to get into any of these networks, that kind of seems to be doing sort of what you're talking about, is the Simply Syndicate network. I'm not sure if you've heard of them.
Yes, I have.
They're very much they kind of all kind of share together. There's none of that like, oh, I can't show you my secret sauce because that's my secret sauce and you're not allowed to have any. they seem to be very, very much collaborate on a lot of their shows. Yeah,
and there are some networks that do a really good job with like the cross promotion and the crossovers on the podcasts. But like we're looking more at a multifaceted approach. Like we have people that are writers and are published authors. We have game developers. We have game testers. Basically QA people of all walks of life. And we have people that are more interested in the video side, like live stream, doing Twitch or Beam Interactive now for some people. Of course, the YouTubers. There's people that like all kinds of content. And what we're trying to do is find those opportunities to break beyond the platforms, because most of the networks are very platform centric. We're more platform agnostic, and we're more about the messaging and having a consistent voice and communities across platforms, just blurring those lines. The reason being is we want people to be in a position so that if Twitch shuts down your channel because they get a wild hair up their ass, or YouTube finally dings you for the last time and they're just tired of it because but it's not your fault. It's just because their algorithm is really sensitive, and it says you stole copyrighted material when you didn't. Even though when you have release forms in your links, there's all kind of crazy stuff. But, all these ecosystems, these platforms.
YouTube sucks, by the way. We've got just a quick thing about YouTube. We've gotten dinged for our theme music multiple times.
Yeah.
Until I sent their legal department the letter from Jake that said, I wrote this music for them. This is their music. Chris owns this music. And then they stopped dinging us.
Yeah, and it's so stupid because, before I go to my real point is, but, with that, these networks, the people that benefit the most are the people that run the networks because they're getting a majority of the money. What we're basically doing is working for free in hopes that eventually we'll get paid for what we're doing, right?
That's why I started this podcast.
Yeah, and of course, with that, we'll talk later about how there's a stigma with amongst people, like you shouldn't get paid for doing something you love, like, which is stupid. That notion drives me nuts.
That's bullshit. Tell my boss that, and tell me that, because my day job, I love it to death.
Yeah, see, and that's we want to create more stories like that. But see, the whole thing, there's a lot of problems in content marketing, content creation, and primarily is you have no control over your brand because you rely on one platform, and when your fame dies there or you get shut down, what do you have left? So we want to put people in a position where they're in control of their brand and they have that freedom and they have an audience they could take with them anywhere.
All right, so let me ask you this. How does Geeky Antics help people such as the GamingDeath Podcast or 365 Flicks or Horseplay Live? How do you take somebody like that, or Stan, who I know is a very accomplished author, how do you take someone like that and help them break through the monopoly that the A-listers and the big brands already have, that monopoly on the top?
So that's where it gets tricky, right? Because we have past successes. I could tell you about a number of campaigns, some of which I can't really talk about the exact people because of NDAs and all that kind of stuff. I respect, privacy, but there's been a number of scenarios where we'll take someone that has a mere fraction of an A-lister's audience. Like, we're talking hundreds or thousands versus, millions. But we'll get them in a position where they're getting higher conversions. So that's basically marketing speak or business speak for saying you're getting your audience to do more stuff. Because that's what really matters. Like, if you have, let's say you get 10,000 unique visitors in an hour on a website, which is good. That's good.
Yeah, that gets you press passes.
Yeah, that gets you press passes. And that's better than most people. Let's be honest.
Right, but so there's no engagement.
But here's the thing, though. That's not really creating value necessarily, because if those people aren't subscribing to your mailing list, they're running ad block, they're not supporting your affiliate offers, they're not going to your convention or local meetup or tournament, whatever kind of stuff you're doing, then they're just, it's all vanity metrics, and that's what people get caught up on. So what we do is, it's a completely voluntary system, right? So people get out of it what they put in. And really, if everybody did a little bit consistently, every day or every week even.
I feel the elbow.
I'm not calling anybody out, but,
It's fine. I feel the elbow.
But if everybody did,
you can call me out on my show, Yogi. It's okay. My audience is used to people calling me out on my own show.
Well, let me backpedal a little bit, too. Because this is the big thing with marketing, right? Because I know earlier we were talking, and you were saying that sometimes you feel overwhelmed with the amount of stuff you have to do to keep momentum going, right?
Yes, it's for anybody out there that wants to start a podcast, you can. More the power to you. Go out there, start a podcast, do videos, do Twitch, do whatever you want. Just don't expect it to be successful. Because, let me tell you, after 176 episodes of this podcast, and our only marketing basically is word of mouth marketing, we only have about 500 subscribers on our RSS feed, which is dismal for how long we've been on the air.
And yet, it's still better than most podcasts out there.
That's the thing, that's the thing that bugs me the most, because I feel like every time I've made a huge marketing push for the show, I've advertised on Facebook, I've linked all over Twitter, I've spammed the shit out of places, which people hate, but you know what? Fuck it. If IGN can spam their shit and Kotaku can spam their shit, why can't me, the little guy, spam my shit? So fuck y'all. I spam my shit out there and I don't get anything. But then the people that just randomly find the show, they start engaging with us. And like about a month ago, I met Leo. He's a YouTuber. He's been YouTubing for like, I think he said 4 years. He does very good videos. But he conversed with us. He's played games with me. We're talking about collaborating together on stuff, and it's really cool when people that listen to the show then give actual feedback on what's going on. And don't worry, Leo, I will link to your YouTube channel in the notes for the show.
And that's just the thing too. That's the thing to really take away from that. It's not the size of your audience, it's how loyal they are to you and how responsive they are. And that's the thing people don't talk about. The reason most people go for the big numbers is because really they don't have confidence in what they're offering. They know it's crap, they know it's regurgitated, they know it's tripe and pretty much unremarkable. But if they could just make it scream loud enough until people pay attention and they could boost those vanity metrics, then at least they'll get that, if they're lucky, a 1% conversion and a return on their investment. And that's the way big brands do it. They just throw shit against the wall and hope something sticks.
Right.
For us,
and
for us smaller brands, we can't do that.
No, we can't just keep throwing stuff at the wall and see what sticks. I'm proud to say that over 176 episodes, our podcast hasn't really changed. When I started this show, I started it out wanting to just be myself and have a bunch of friends on here that were going to be themselves as well. We don't really put on faces, hollow play. We do have our roles on the show. There's certain dynamics that work really well for radio, like Caleb's the super smart guy. We know that, and Hollowblade's constantly salty about something. And he's our ranter. He's our Obi, and then I play like the middle ground. There's stuff that I will soapbox about that I feel passionately about, but usually I play the devil's advocate. I play the middleman, and that's my role on the show. But it's still me, and it's just one of those things where I can't be like, okay, this week we're going to be like a new show. Okay, this week we're going to be like this show. This week we're going to be like that show. That's not what I wanted. That's not what people want to listen to. I found people just want you to be real. When I listen to a ton of podcasts, Yogi. I think you know this. I listen to a ton of podcasts.
Well, I do too. I mean, I listen to more podcasts than I listen to music these days, to be honest.
Like, I think I'm subscribed to close to 48 podcasts on iTunes, and I listen to almost all of them. Some of them I don't. I pick and choose what episodes I listen to. But the thing about it is, listening to so many podcasts, you can tell when somebody's being fake.
Oh, yeah.
And the ones that I religiously listen to are the people that sound real. The people that it's kind of like they're having a conversation and I could jump in at any time. They feel more like friends and less like a content creator. And that was my goal in starting GamingDeath, because I felt like there was no gaming podcast out there that was doing grassroots gaming. There was nobody out there doing stuff that was like, hey guys, everybody's saying that this game is fucking amazing, okay? But nobody's talking about the terrible stuff in this game and stuff that's game breaking. You might read some articles on Reddit and stuff, but nobody's talking about 2-3 hours in, and all people go to websites for and reviews for are just that number. And they might touch on it in the review, and if you read the review, that's cool. But if I can entertain you and educate you about a game, that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, and that's the thing. When you have that commercial interest, which again, there's nothing wrong with it, but when you're a slave to that, it changes your message and your tone completely. So like our the tone varies from each, from contributor to contributor, but overall, everybody I would like to think is very authentic, and that's important.
I love all the shows on the Geeky Antics Network, and I'm not just saying that. Saying that.
That's important to me, because it's overwhelming because I get a lot of contacts these days, and it's really hard to go through all that stuff and determine the people that are worth your time. I've had to be, I'm someone that likes to be very generous, and I'm kind of a bleeding heart. But I'm finally at that point where I have to say no to a lot of things, a lot of opportunities to be able to say yes to the things that really matter. So I'm kind of, you ever heard that old 80-20 rule in business?
No,
spend 80% of your time with the 20% of people that actually give a shit. And there's lots of different versions of it. Okay. It holds true. Like, spend 80% of your time on the 20% of things that actually matter. It's all the same kind of thing. Like, there's always going to be your core, your essence, where you really should be focusing on, and then everything else is kind of just busy work or people that waste your time, people that are never satisfied, people that make promises and excuses all the time, but they never come through. The folks.
I feel the elbow again. I feel the elbow again. It's cool.
No, and that's the thing though. A very important thing to me is intent and personality fit, because you can't force those things, right?
No, not at all.
I could tell you I have the cure to cancer, right? But if you don't feel compelled to take the steps to find out what it is, then maybe I shouldn't share it with you.
Is it butt sex? It's butt sex, isn't it?
It might be butt sex. Usually butt stuff solves a lot of problems.
Yeah, well, no thank you, Yogi. I'm married now, remember? I wasn't married when you first met me, but I'm married now, Yogi.
This is true. So much has changed. So going back to what you were saying earlier, because you brought up a lot of good points, and I want to speak to them. But just how we do it, it's a number of things. The simplest thing, though, and it kind of touches upon what we just talked about, is we want to let people have as much freedom as possible and be themselves. That's important, because that's sustainable. If you try to pander, if you just try to jump on a trend, you could do that, and that's probably the easiest way to quote unquote succeed. But what's gonna happen is you're gonna burn out, or people are gonna find out that you're a farce, and that's not cool.
Right.
And also that also leads to like your 5 seconds of fame. How many of these like YouTubers and Twitch streamers do you see, and these websites that are shutting down, or they used to be big thing, they were a big deal, and all of a sudden these people are broke, like absolutely broke. Like, how does that happen? Because they thought the fame was gonna last forever, and it doesn't. So we want to put people in a position where they're always thinking about what the next step is, how they could improve, how they could diversify and collaborate, so that all that burden is not just on them.
Amen, brother.
And even better, more importantly, right? When you do, what we want people to do is keep doing what they do, what they really believe in, right? What comes from their heart. And I know it sounds really kumbaya, but it's true.
No, yeah.
And then we're facilitating the marketing methods, those channels that get you to the people that feel the same way you do. That's the difference in what we do compared to other folks. Rather than just trying to have that mass appeal, we're trying to get to those people that are as passionate as you are about what you're talking about. Because it only makes sense. If you're frustrated with something, if you're passionate about something, if you're just sick and tired of being sick and tired about something, right? Whatever it is, and that prompts you to pursue a project, a venture, then it only makes logical sense. Then there's other people that feel the same way, and our methods are all about getting to those few people that could give you the access to their circles of influence, rather than just trying to go wide. It's working through those select few and going deep.
Agree. That's kind of how we've been running things over here. Everybody on the show, everybody that listens to the show by now knows Racing John. Racing John normally is, even when we have nobody in Twitch chat, like tonight we have nobody in Twitch chat. I won't lie. Nobody comes and hangs out with us. But people download the show on iTunes. We pimp out the Twitch. But John, back to John. I need to stay on focus tonight. John has been with us since day one. John has been with us since day one. He's been a fan of the GamingDeath podcast, and we've gotten listeners through him, and I've met people through him, and like John amazes me every step of the way, and how much of a person he's become. And it's weird because he started out as just a fan that I did not know from a hole in the wall, and he's become actually a friend, someone who I support. He just recently did his first unboxing, and I had to share it with the Geeky Antics Network. Like, I had to share that on Facebook with you, because he overcomes a lot of obstacles and a lot of adversary, and he overcomes all the trolls and stuff to put himself out there.
See, John is a very good example of not only like our ideal like friend. Like, our goal is make a friend everywhere you go. You know, not everybody's gonna be a friend, but if you can make one friend out of a bunch of people, then you succeeded. Celebrate those small wins. But here's the other thing: he's also a reminder that most of the excuses and kind of walls that we put up for ourselves are bullshit.
Yeah, of course.
You know, that's the thing. You know, we tend to. I call it analysis paralysis. I'm sure that's been coined by someone else before, but you know, it's just overthinking things and fearing things that 99% of the time are not going to happen. You know, and our approach too is just ship, just get it out there. You know, it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be a high production value thing. But if the message is pure, if the message is something unique, something you believe in, and you see that there's no one else doing that, go for it. Take advantage of the opportunity. You know, carpe diem, because you don't know if that opportunity will still be there for long. You know,
Yogi, our listeners are kind of young. They don't know what carpe diem means. You need to say it like this: YOLO.
Oh, that's right. Carpe
YOLO.
diem is what the Romans used to say back in the days.
It means seize the day.
that was their YOLO back then. You know, Julius Caesar's like YOLO.
Carpe diem. now that speaking about John and putting up these false walls and showing that we as a people have false walls. We used to have a writer. When GamingDeath was, we were trying to do articles, but nobody reads anymore. That's what I've learned, and that's why we stopped writing. Me and Caleb have talked about this point multiple times, how we were putting out great content.
I read all your stuff.
Great original content that wasn't the regurgitated press releases, and we were getting deep into games and deep into analyzing stuff and kind of taking more of a cerebral approach to games, a logical approach to games, and we
logical but not pretentious.
Exactly. Thank you. The word I was looking for was logical. And we wrote and we wrote and we wrote and we wrote. And if you go to GamingDeath.com right now, you can see that there are over 250 articles written in about a 6-month span, because we were writing an article almost every day. Yeah, there were reviews in there, and there's some other stuff in there, some new stuff, but mostly our content was focused on, you know, I can't think of the word, original content.
And the issues. There were a lot of issues in there too, like issues that no one was really talking about.
I've yet to see anybody else on any of the major gaming websites talk about gaming addiction the way that I did.
Yep.
Because as much as people, we laugh about video games, video games. There are games out there that can make you physically ill. There are games out there that can consume you. It's just like gambling. It's just like alcohol. It's just like drugs. That if you don't control your shit, you can lose your shit. And yep. I don't even remember where I was going. But nobody was listening. But back in the day, we had a writer on our team who had autism. He was like very autistic, but he wrote for us. And he had no problem talking about the games that nobody else cared about. He wrote articles about Sonic the Hedgehog, and he loved Sonic, and he wrote tons and tons and tons of articles about Sonic. And they were super well written, and you could feel the passion behind the words. And he was my first push to be like, you know what, fuck it. This is me. Take me as I am, and I'll do what I gotta do. and kind of knocking down a lot of those walls. You can ask anybody else in my life, Yoki. I am not this outspoken. I do not speak my mind this much, nowhere near as much in real life.
Oh yeah, I think most of us are like that. We're kind of introverts, and this is our outlet.
And here behind this microphone, and everybody knows my name. I'm Chris Gannon. Everybody knows my name, and I have no shame in that. But if you were to meet me, if you were to meet me out on the street, you probably would have no idea the stuff I talk about. Every Thursday night, 9:30 p.m., twitch.tv/GamingDeath, part of the Geeky Antics Network.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Now let's talk about failure for a second, because you said, being completely candid with my listeners, like I always am, you sent me this giant list of talking points you wanted to talk.
That's my version of a short list.
This giant list, and some of it's not for the listeners. Some of it I know is for me. But there's one thing on here that I wanted you to speak to, and it's about failure. Fail hard and fast. Failure and preoccupation with cutthroat competitions are two things that paralyze us. Talk to that point for me.
So this is one of the pain points that made me realize there was a need for an organization like ours. So if you can think back about your days in school, and just about everything in this world, the corporate America, everything's structured to make you really fear failure, right? And we spend so much of our time worrying about failing. Oh, am I gonna have the mortgage next month? Oh, I'm gonna have the rent next month. Am I gonna be able to afford this car? Are they gonna repossess this car? All this stuff that happens because that's the way we're conditioned, right? I don't know about you, but when I was a kid, I would be terrified to get a report card that didn't have all A's. That's how strict my parents were.
No, I was a straight A student, actually.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, I was a straight A student, but the one moment it was like an A- or B, Lord forbid, I was, petrified.
No, never was. I knew I never was going to get that. I'm sorry. I know that sounds really pretentious, and I won't lie, I'm kind of a dick, but I'm a lovable dick.
Well, for me, I with being in school, it was more like I started to feel under challenge, and that's when my grades was dropped because I just didn't care enough anymore.
Yep, that was me once I hit high school. I just didn't give a fuck anymore. I skipped English for 3 months straight to go to study hall to play Yu-Gi-Oh.
Well, and that also goes back to what we said earlier. That's a good reason to cut class, by the way. But burnout factor is real, and that's something that follows us throughout life, and a lot of us are not cognizant of it. So, I say all that because we look at failure as a terrible thing. Look at how the media loves to completely vilify people when they fail. I mean, I think about how Microsoft, had some terrible choice of messaging. They picked probably the worst spokesperson for their brand ever, Don Matrick, whatever.
That's my uncle.
Is he really?
No.
Oh my God!
Come on, haven't you listened to the show for long enough?
I'm about to say, I don't know.
When the Xbox wanted the PS4, this is a little backstory to this, because for some godforsaken reason, I can't get all of our episodes to show on our RSS feed. Back when the PS4 and the Xbox One first came out, I was a full supporter of the Xbox One. I didn't mind the Always Online. I thought it was a really cool idea. The game sharing idea was really awesome. So Caleb and Hollow dubbed Don Matrix my uncle, and that was why I was pushing the Xbox One.
I do remember that. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny too because I saw that whole thing go down and how you completely did a 180. And yes, well, it's a 180, not a 360. If you do a 360, you go full circle back to where you were to begin with.
But this is the thing. If you listen to the show, you will never hear me hate on the Xbox One. You never do. You will never hear me hate on the Xbox One. And there's a reason for that. The Xbox One isn't bad. Just because their messaging failed doesn't mean that it's terrible. But I think this is the point that you're going to, is that people equate the failure of their message into an inferior product. And that's not the case.
Yeah, and there's also there's an intrinsic value to failing. All right, so I'm gonna break something down. Most businesses that are successful, they have one of two things on their side. Okay, maybe one of three things. Let's say. All right, you ready?
Money.
That's money to make money. Obviously, you keep if you have a war chest and you keep throwing money at problems, eventually you'll be successful, right?
Yeah, come on, I only got a small loan from my father of $1 million. It's just a small loan.
So yeah, if you have that kind of money, you could pull a Nintendo, keep making really weird choices, but
which is amazing. Let me tell you, you bring up Nintendo, and we don't talk about Nintendo very much on this podcast.
We don't. None of us really do anymore. It's sad.
Because both Caleb and Hollow hate Nintendo with a fiery passion. I thank God every day for Nintendo because they're keeping the gaming industry kind of on its toes. Because you never know when they're going to come out with the next Wii.
That's true.
You never know. You never know. This NX thing could blow the fucking doors off the gaming industry, and nobody knows yet.
Yeah, studying Nintendo and the different eras of Nintendo it's a fascinating case study.
Oh yes, I've written papers about it.
Yeah, like there's so many things. I mean, here's and I know we're going off on a tangent, but
that's this podcast. We're a conversational podcast. We go off on rants. It's okay.
But yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Like they're ultra conservative in a lot of things, right? Like their posture, their attitude has been for forever. Like, I feel like only this year they finally realized, this internet thing, I don't think it's a fad. I think it's sticking around. Because they barely have an online infrastructure. They don't really support the community of content creators. In fact, they punish them. And it's just really weird decisions when it comes to the online ecosystem. And there's other facets to that. I don't want to go too deep on them, but... they treat online as an afterthought. They treat digital media, and the new ways of marketing as like this weird thing. They almost do social media begrudgingly. So,
but then they come out at E3 with a puppet show, which is fucking amazing that everybody's talking about for the next 2 weeks.
That's true. So like they do. So like they don't get the things that everybody else get, but like they do some really random stuff. So I respect them because they are not afraid to take risks. They are really big on innovation, but also I think sometimes they don't realize there's a big difference between a gimmick and innovation. And I think with the Wii, they got really lucky because there was a void to be filled, right? So because all they were doing was being Nintendo. They were Nintendo being Nintendo. They're like, we're really good at making toys. Video games.
They're amazing at making video games. Look at the NES. Look at the Super NES. Look at the N64. All amazing consoles.
Well, let me say, their video games are amazing, but like as far as their tech, it often struggles. I think that's fair to say.
And that's a choice. That's the thing. That's a choice from Nintendo. Like, the Wii was underpowered because that's what they thought. That they were like, we don't need to put in this giant chip and charge you $600 for a machine.
That's true, and I tell people all the time, they don't want to and they cannot compete with other console manufacturers because they don't have to. So that's true. They don't. They pass those savings on to the consumer, and that makes them competitive, and that makes them very attractive. And they still are one of the few people that still really tries to create these couch co-op, these living room experiences with the family and friends.
Which is amazing.
So, like, for all their flaws, and see, that's another, it goes back, that illustrates further how failure is a good thing because it helps you also hone in on your strengths.
And now here's my other thing. There are a lot of people out there that will say the Wii was a gimmick, the motion controls was a gimmick. Well, you know what, guys? You guys can all go fuck yourselves because you're wrong. Because the Wii brought us PlayStation Move, which brought us the Kinect, which is bringing us now into this VR world that is slowly starting to blow up hard. I think that without the Wii, we would not have hit the VR tech the way that we have at all.
So, there's a thin line between a gimmick and an innovation, and I completely agree with you. And here's the thing, the thin line between a gimmick and innovation, this is what it is. If you create something with no real intent or strategy for getting others to support and get excited about it, right?
Right.
Then it's a gimmick. It's tacked on. it's just something for funsies, but it doesn't really enhance the core experience, nor does it create new experiences.
Right, which is one of the reasons the Wii got the monkeyer that it was a gimmick, because a lot of the games that incorporated motion control didn't add anything to the experience. They were just there to be there.
And that's the more of the third party support stuff, right? Because like the things that were optimized for it and were created with the Wiimotes in mind were fantastic.
Yes, they were.
Unlike the Wii U that has this tablet, and I'm a big proponent for second screen experiences. I think that's an aspect of the video game tech that still hasn't been fully explored and really built upon. I go back to games like Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles or Sonic Adventure.
Crystal Chronicles, Sonic Adventures.
Yeah. Sonic Adventure on Dreamcast with the VMUs and you're racing your Chows. What?
Yeah, Chow Garden's so good.
Dude, like, can you imagine just commuting to work and you just connect your VMU with a friend and they race each other? I mean, come on, this is genius stuff. And then we've been taking steps backwards, and now we have VR, which to me right now is a gimmick for rich people. Because if you got that kind of money to blow, you're either rich or you're broke.
Exactly, and like PlayStation VR and stuff like that, it's all really cool. Like, I've gotten a chance to play PSVR. I've got a chance a long time ago to play with an Oculus. It's cool. The tech is really cool. But as a gamer, as a lifelong gamer, I see I've yet to see the benefit of me having to drop $600 on this thing.
Exactly. That's a decent gaming computer. That's a couple of consoles, or a console with a bunch of games, or a whole lot of beer. I mean,
a whole lot of beer.
I'm just putting this in perspective.
It's a lot of delicious wine.
That's like a mortgage payment for a lot of people, or that's 2 car payments for some people. I mean, when you look at it, it's like,
it's a month's
why
rent
would I do it? What's that?
It's a month's rent for me.
There you go. So, like, you look at that, and it's like, no, there's so many other places to innovate and improve the gaming experience. This is not really where we should be focusing our resources. But VR is great because it gets people talking about it. It's something they can throw money at. A lot of big money's pushing it. You know, this is like the umpteenth attempt that they try to do VR, but this time it's going to probably stick. So while everybody's excited about VR and they're distracted by the glaring flaws in the gaming industry, you know, they keep doing what they do.
You talk the glaring flaws in the gaming industry. Are you talking about this extremely thin precipice that we are currently standing on as a gaming community?
That's part of it, yeah. I mean,
because due to the fact of third-party developers, basically, you know, that middleware developers going the way of the dodo, we kind of either have giant AAA titles or we have the cool, awesome indie titles that are innovating and nothing in between anymore. But nobody talks about that. Nobody talks about that.
And it's depressing. I mean, that's why years ago, I went the path, because I have a computer science degree, I went the path of IT instead of game development. And I wanted to do game development because I have already been doing it. I've been developing software since like the 80s, you know, on shitty computers, you know.
Yogi showing his age, everybody.
So, but when I got my degree, I said, you know what? I already saw the writing on the wall. I didn't want to end up hating one of the things I'm most passionate about, right? And everybody I know that's still in the industry, they're miserable and they're constantly stressed because everything's project based. Like the people think that you could be a really good programmer or be like a rock star developer and be set for life. Nope, you're constantly looking for work. If you like job hunting, then you'll love it. I don't like that process. It's demeaning and discouraging and just such a time sink.
For a very long time, I'm a videographer at heart. I know how to shoot movies. That's what I do. I can shoot movies and I can edit them like a son of a bitch on a Mac. I know iMovie inside and out. I wanted to get into VFX. That's originally what I wanted to do. But I had a bunch of friends that were also in VFX that had gotten jobs, and it didn't sound like the life for me because you get a job, you get a nice paycheck at the end of the job of these grueling, disgusting hours, and then they fire you.
Yep.
And then you're looking for another job. Unless you're a lead or like an executive, you're not staying with the house that made the game or made the movie or, you know, made the show. As soon as that show or that movie or that game's done, they lay off like 30 to 70% of their workforce.
Yeah, and another thing too, and anytime, and that can be said about just about any salary kind of work. When you're in an operational role, they'll milk the crap out of you since your salary. They basically feel like they own your time.
Oh my
if they
God.
want you to stay longer, they want you to come in for the weekend. You can say no, just don't expect to have a job for much longer.
When I first turned 18, I got a job at GameStop as a assistant manager. I was quickly promoted to store manager, which is a salary position. I was making a very nice salary, but I was working 7 days a week, open to close, sleeping in the store, and they didn't care. They didn't care. They didn't care that they were running me to death. And then at the end of it all, after all the blood, sweat, and tears that I had put into the store, made it the #1 store on the East Coast, what did they do? They gave my store to somebody else and demoted me, so I quit.
Ah, man.
So
there's no loyalties anymore in corporate
GameStop.
America. Yeah, it's crazy. But back to the whole notion of failure and why it's good to fail.
Yeah, what are the 3 things that people need to succeed?
Did we go through the whole thing? Oh, yeah.
No. I said money, and we went off on our tangent.
That's right, we did go. That was a pretty awesome tangent. Jesus, I forgot where I was for a moment. I'm like, am I still home? Where is this? What is this place?
You're on the GamingDeath Podcast. You are Yogizilla.
Okay. I'm back in place. So yes, we talked about money.
We're pimping out Geeky Antics this entire show. We're also have some awesome video game talk and some awesome talk about real life because.
And it's all connected. It's all
connected, which is the weirdest thing for the show. It may not seem, if you were to just listen to a very small segment of the show, you would be like, what the fuck are these people on? But if you listen to the whole show, you realize that this is a circle. Everything is connected.
So speaking of circle, new Rings movie coming out.
Oh my God, did you see that trailer?
Oh! I tweeted out to them, and I was like, but what happens if you break the phone and the call doesn't go through? You know,
what happens if you don't answer the phone? I guess that's.
Oh my God! If 2 people answer it at the same time.
What happens if they don't answer the phone?
Or if they don't answer at all?
They don't answer at all. What if you answer it on speakerphone?
What about if you answer it, but they don't speak the language that you understand? Ooh.
Well, we know that.
You're like, ¿qué?
¿Qué? No, Pedro here. No,
Let me pledge. That's racist. Look, I'm Latino. I can be racist to my own people.
Fuck y'all. My brother is half Mexican. My stepdad is purely Mexican. I was raised by a Mexican person. I may not have Mexican blood, but fuck y'all. I punched a kid out for hating on Spanish people before. Pretty sure that I've got the okay on this.
You get street cred. I approve. So, oh man. See,
your name's Yomar. Yeah, pretty sure that you're Spanish. You might be Italian, but who knows?
It's possible. I am pretty greasy. Oh, wait, what? Who said that?
Oh.
So this is the kind of stuff that we're all about. You know, because another thing I hate about the business world is that it takes itself too seriously. You know, our tagline right now is serious geeks, silly fun. We're serious about what we do. We're passionate about what we do, but we know how to let loose. And I think that's important because, you know, I used to be a student and Thai guy, and again, soul sucking. It wasn't me.
I worked as an assistant insurance broker. Let me state that again. I worked as an apprentice insurance broker. Do you know what I wear to work every day, Yogi?
What do you wear to work?
I wear shorts, a t-shirt, and a pair of flip-flops.
That's the best way to work. I love that.
It's amazing. My boss has long-ass hair, rides a Harley, listens to old 80s rock and roll.
I love it.
Fucking, I have the best job because normally people are like, I'm an insurance broker. Look at me in my tie. Look at me in my monkey suit. Oh, yeah, blah, 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 deductibles, blah, 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 coverage. And I'm like...
Blah, blah, underwriter.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, yo. Did you hear the new Blink? You hear the new Blink album? And he'll be like, no. And then we'll spend an hour listening to, like, old-ass music and me introducing him to music that I loved when I was a kid and stuff like that. It's amazing. I love my job.
With you guys, man.
Love my job. My boss is the best.
That's good.
If you're in New York, New Jersey, and you're looking for insurance, Walter O. Rogers Insurance Services, 201-641-2233. Call now for a free quote.
That's very smooth, man. I like it. So all right. So if you have a war chest, that's one way to succeed. The other one that everybody pretty much knows is timing, right? And if we get a chance, we'll talk about something that's very interesting about timing and kind of paradox of opportunity that people don't understand. So timing is another one. The third one is knowing the right people. It's not even about like knowing your stuff, being talented. I hate to say it, but a lot of the time doesn't really get you anywhere.
Nope, it doesn't get us anywhere.
Yeah, it's really very rarely about that because people can't see that at a first impression. They have to give you that chance. You need to get to the past the gatekeepers, to the people that can make decisions before that even matters. And even then, it's like if there's a personality connection or you suck enough dick, then you get the job or you get the gig. It's done.
Okay. Little backstory. I know I've gotten really personal this episode, and I've talked a lot. And I'm supposed to be interviewing you, and I'm not supposed to talk a lot. But that's not me. Me and Yogi are friends, and it wouldn't be the Gaming Death Podcast unless
I'm also eating my dinner on the side too. So go ahead.
No worries.
Do you yo?
Back when I first started out doing podcasting and gaming and stuff, gaming for the masses, we started with a small thing called Geek Talk Radio. That was our original podcast. We ran it for almost a year. I got really good friends with somewhat of a new editor at IGN, and we became really good friends, fast friends, really. We talked a lot via Twitter, via Facebook messaging, stuff like that. And he very quickly rose to be this huge person in IGN, and now is this giant internet personality. Everybody knows the name Greg Miller these days. Everybody knows Funny or Die. Everybody knows PlayStation Podcast Beyond because of Greg and Colin. But I was very good friends with Greg, and as I got my foot in the door, I was talking to people over at IGN. I was trying to get a writing job. They wanted me to move out to San Francisco. I couldn't move out to San Francisco. I had a girlfriend here who became my wife, and it just as his popularity rose, it kind of fell apart. And anybody who's listened to the last episode that we had Greg on, he kind of didn't acknowledge that he had known me at all. It was kind of like I was just a rabid fan, and it was one of those things where it hurt. And at the same time, it was like when we got off the podcast, I was trying to talk to him and be like, yo, man, how are things? Get a little friendly. Everybody else had gotten off the Skype call. And he was just like, thanks, man. Cool times. I'll talk to you later. Bye. And it sucked.
Yeah, and that's a very common story. I mean, I have connections in the industry. I know some really big people. I know people that founded PopCap before they were anybody, And
I have a buddy that went to go work for PopCap when they first started out. He was one of my employees at GameStop.
And there you go, but the thing is, a lot of people that don't come from that actually goes back. That ties into the whole thing about failing to the top. The people that stumble into success do not come from that place of humility. They don't really learn how they got there. It's just luck, and then if they're able to sustain it somehow magically, stay connected with the right people, and keep stumbling along the way and into success, then they're okay. But if they have to teach that to someone else, their advice 9 times out of 10 won't work for that person because they don't even know what they're doing, even though they're successful, right? When you fail yourself to the top, you come from a place of humility, and you realize how much you really don't know. Because you could be super talented and do everything, like Justin Fox, who we interviewed recently.
He does an interview, by the way. Awesome interview. I listened to him both on Horseplay and on ZombieCast. You guys should check it out.
And it's crazy. He made that game Release, REELISE. Check it out. It's in Kickstarter right now if you listen to this in time.
If you're listening to this on iTunes, check the show notes because I'll put a link to the... is the Kickstarter still going?
Yeah, there's like about less than 6 days now. Yep.
Okay, there will be a link in the show notes to the Kickstarter. And this will go up tonight, which means that people will start downloading it tomorrow.
Yep. I know you on point with that, man. So anyway, he did the music, the artwork hand drawn. Who does that anymore? Hand drawn animations? who does that anymore? Really, everything's done usually in engine because everything else takes work. Hand-drawn animation, right? Wrote the story. He's got a 1,323-page novel that he made, illustrated fully.
That's fucking crazy.
That's just concept that he's built over 4 years. Before he even launched this project, he did a game on the PlayStation using RPG Maker because he didn't have access to a full engine or SDK, and it took up like 10 memory cards, which back then was a big deal.
Yep.
You know, and it was a 30-hour game.
It's
right?
It's people like that. People like that can create something tangible that you can see. Blow my fucking mind.
Well, here's the thing. I say all that is that he's super talented, but even with that, he can't do it alone. and he would not be where he's at if he didn't fail a bunch first.
Well, that's the big thing with bringing it back to Geeky Antics, that I see Geeky Antics, and you can stop me if I'm wrong, but one of the big messages is no small person can really do it alone. We need each other. We need each other. We do.
Yeah,
and that's what the gang is. We are a gang. We are a gang of writers and podcasters and streamers and, you know, every creative thing under the sun. There's somebody on the as part of the network that does it, and it's amazing.
And anybody that tries to do it alone, they can succeed. There's gonna be wins for them for sure, but they're gonna spend 10 to 100 times as much time, you know, and they're not gonna be as engaging, and they're gonna be able to spend more time enjoying the success and doing other things other than their main thing. Because that's the thing. Like, a lot of times we get obsessed with our main thing, but there are things around that. A writer can't just exist in a bubble and never like talk to publishers or go on book tours or go to conventions, you know, be present to promote his book, because he's not gonna get a good deal when he publishes his next book. You know, he can't just write all day. Like, but this is the mentality I see all the time. I'm just gonna keep podcasting. I'm gonna keep doing Twitch streams, and eventually I'll succeed. Like, well, what else are you doing? Are you reaching out to people? Are you supporting others doing the same thing? Are you doing support groups? Are you holding webinars? Are you doing convention circuits, local meetups? What are you doing to take that brand and branch out and be more than just be part of something bigger than yourself?
I feel the elbow again.
Because
that's right now.
I'm spitballing.
Right now, though, that's my mentality. That's been my mentality for a really long time. Is as long as we keep podcasting, the audience will come to us. As long as we keep going, the audience will come. You can't ignore something that's been going on for so long that sooner or later they will find us. And we hit a good number. We hit a number that I'm proud of, but we're stagnant, and we get the emails, but most of the emails are like, "You guys suck, fuck you guys," and it's like, that's.
Well, that's how you know you're doing something right. If people don't hate on you, you're doing it wrong.
But when I check the podcast email, and I have 40 new emails, and of those 40 new emails, 38 of them are "you guys fucking suck." Do you know how heartbreaking it is?
And it's tough, I know. We all deal with it. But you know what's even more disheartening? When you get no kind of response. You know, like 8 and 10 podcasts easily do not get any kind of responsiveness like that. So you're already ahead of the game. That's why I keep telling you, a lot of people, like, you're ahead of the game. Like, and this is the thing. So many times in life, we give up when we're on the verge of a breakthrough. And because we burn out.
That's the thing. Do you know how... Okay. Real talk right now. Do you know how many times I've said, fuck it, I'm not doing the podcast anymore?
Oh, yeah.
Like, in all honesty, do you know how many times I said, fuck it? There's nobody here. I am screaming into the void. Nobody's listening. Fuck it, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not. It's an hour and a half recording almost every week that I feel like I have to drag people to. Then it's another hour and a half for me to edit the show and get it up. Then it's another 45 minutes of fighting with Twitch's export to YouTube feature that can fucking suck a dick. and it's like it's pretty much 4 hours every week just producing the show, and to get either no response, which there are weeks that we get nothing. There are weeks that we get 3 hits on our fucking podcast with 500 subscribers, 3 literal downloads of the actual podcast.
Oh,
which
yeah.
blows my mind. And then there's weeks where we get 400 downloads, 700 downloads, 600 downloads. And it's like, why the fuck do I put all this time into this? I'm just going to quit. But I talked to another IGN alum, Max Scoville, probably about 3 years ago. I sent him an email. I was like, listen, man, I need some help. You're around my age. You're super successful. What's the secret? I'm ready to throw in the fucking towel. I'm ready to just say, fuck all this. What the fuck is the thing? And he basically called me a fucking pussy and told me that if this was my passion and this is what I wanted to do, I wouldn't give up. Who cares that I'm just screaming out into the void? The fact that I'm doing it each week, the fact that I'm putting so much time, so much heart into it, means that I love it. And I do love podcasting.
Yeah.
And every time that I've said I was going to quit, I go, I sit for a little while, and I come back and there's no way. There's no way. Hollow and Kalo could both say, fuck it, we're out of the podcast, and I'd be sitting here screaming into this microphone every Thursday at 9:30 talking to myself. And I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck.
And that's the thing, too. Like, there's a lot of things that people love and they give up on it because eventually they burn out and eventually they have to make a tough decision. Well, I could keep doing something I love, or I could just, pay my bills and hate what I do. So I think that shouldn't have to be. It shouldn't have to be a mutually exclusive proposition, and it doesn't have to be.
Right.
I think part of what we do is, and part of what we're working hard toward is having that accountability, because that's something we all need. That little nudge, hey, that support. There's no reason that everyone can't just, go to, let's say we have a core group of 20 people, and we all go to each other's thing, leave comments, leave reviews, thumbs up. Talking about minutes out of, hours of the day. It's nothing. You go comment brigading and just give people words of affirmation. It's one of the 5 love languages, right? Words of affirmation.
Right.
For most, that's all we need is just someone saying you matter, or hey, I've been there. Don't give up.
Yep.
Unfortunately, it's not that people don't care; it's that people lurk because it doesn't occur to them that people need those words of affirmation, and that in itself is a currency. Because again, everybody's thinking about the huge opportunities, and not just a problem marketers have; it's a problem consumers have. They're like, well, I can't afford to donate; I can't be a Patreon subscriber, so I just won't do anything. Well, share it. Leave an iTunes review. Thumbs up. Tell a friend about it.
Yes, please leave us an iTunes review. We haven't had an iTunes review in almost 3 years.
And that's that part of that problem is iTunes is not user friendly at all.
It used to be really easy to leave feedback on a fucking podcast. You'd be on the fucking podcast, and right at the top it would say rate. Now you have to go into the store, search for the podcast, find the podcast, then hit rate. It is fucking annoying.
And it's separated by region. Why? Who does this? So right now, if you have a fan in Belize and they haven't told you they left your review, it's just sitting there and they think you're ignoring them and you're the asshole.
See, that sucks because a lot of our listeners are UK listeners.
Yeah, you have to switch the marketplace manually. And that's something we want to address as well. I want to do something that's platform agnostic to give people one common funnel to engage with each other, our fellow content contributors, and also have their friends, their fans come and be able to leave comments and reviews in a common marketplace that isn't full of suck. That's another thing we're working on. We're actually developing apps and tools. But of course, that's slow going because, you need capital in order to buy your time because otherwise, we'll be homeless. So.
All right, Yogi, we are quickly running out of time because you have Post Play Live soon.
I know.
Before we go, and this has been one of my favorite episodes that I've ever done. I love having this one-on-one with you. Why don't you shout out some of the other shows that are on the network that people, podcast shows that people can go and listen to right now?
So the latest that just joined us is Ghostman and Demon Hunter, and we're super proud to have them. These guys have been doing podcasting and just radio overall for over 10 years. They had a show on A&E. They're big time. And they had Dan Aykroyd on the show recently.
Okay.
So if you love Ghostbusters or you like Dan Aykroyd, definitely give that a listen. So that's Ghostman and Demon Hunter. Definitely check them out. And of course, our flagship shows, Gaming Death Podcast, which you're listening to right now.
Thank you, sir.
Horseplay Live. Tommy
I love Horseplay Live. I'm sorry, I'm cutting you off here. Anybody that listens to the Gaming Death Podcast and doesn't listen to Horseplay Live, you're crazy. You're crazy. Horseplay Live is a lot more structured than the Gaming Death Podcast. They have a lot of segments that they do, but Yogi and Obi are just as crazy as us. That's one of the reasons that we get along so well.
And that show is kind of like the vein of our network because we try to shout out people as much as possible, as much as time allows when we're not ranting and going on tangents.
I just got to shout out this episode, Yogi.
Well, it's every facet of geek culture, so definitely give that a listen because we spread the love. We got the 365 Flicks podcast, our pissy friends over in the UK, talking about movies and TV.
People, speaking of 365, stay tuned, Gaming Death Podcast listeners. There may be some collaboration that is in the works. Well, there is collaboration in the works. We just don't know how we're going to get this all to line up because UK is kind of hard to do with us.
Yeah, that plus 5 from us on the East Coast.
Yeah.
So we'll figure it out.
We will definitely figure it out. Kevin seems like a fucking cool-ass dude.
He is, and they got a really cool bumper too that we're trying to get other people to use to cross promote. Simple opportunity, hit play.
You'll hear it at the beginning of this episode. I'm gonna splice it in.
Sweet,
so
yeah.
They will hear the 365 Flicks bumper that you shared with me today.
And we're definitely getting more bumpers together because something even if you forget to do it live, you can splice it in. Post production, easy peasy.
I need something. I need something that says that this is the Geeky Antics Network. You're listening to the Geeky Antics Network. Find more shows like this on geekyantics.com or geekyantics.net.
We do. That's the one from Normie. You get to listen to her sultry tones. Normie from Knuckleballer Radio and Zombie Cast. She has a secret recorded bumper for us. It's basically you're listening to one of my favorite shows on the Geeky Antics Network. And for more shows, go to geekyantics.net.
Yep. See, I won't play that because I don't think Normie's ever listened to our show.
Oh. No, I think she has.
I don't think she has.
And again, that's one of those things because she's a sweetheart. Like she's one of the most amazing people out there. Just message her. Say like, hey, hi, I'm Yogi's friend. I'm part of the Geeky Antics Network, and he spoke really highly of you. I just wanted to formally introduce myself.
Yeah, see that implies me being able to put myself out there in text form that's not on the podcast. I can't.
So I'll have to introduce you because she is a sweetheart. Like she's one of those rare. She's one of those 1 in 100, 1 in 1,000 people that you want to reach because she actually cares about people and she's sympathetic and sometimes empathetic. She's just an amazing individual. I can't speak enough about her. Like she's amazing.
She was one of the hosts of the Breaking Bad cast, correct?
Yes.
Okay, I was like, I know I used to listen and kind of speak with her when Matt and her and I can't remember the guy that was kind of a dick that broke them up.
John Friedman?
No, not John Friedman. John Friedman did he was on All Games. What the fuck was the name of the podcast?
Are you talking about Kyle?
No, it wasn't Kyle. It was Matt, Normie, and some other dude that did Breaking Bad cast.
I forget. It's been a while, but yeah.
But I remember I've spoken to her like on All Games, like when their show was live, because I used to listen live. I was gonna be on the next episode when they had the whole falling out, but who cares?
Oh yeah, that's the thing. Drama, that's unavoidable whenever there's a human element. But that's another thing we're trying to help.
Save your drama for your mama. That's my thing. If you want to start drama with me, go fuck yourself. I'll drop you. I just won't talk to you.
So that's the thing. We want to provide those systems and facilitate things to minimize the ugliness and be more efficient. But also, above all, have fun.
Yeah, exactly.
It should be fun.
That's my thing. If I'm not having fun doing the podcast, I'm not going to do it. But I have fun every week, so.
So who else? We said 365 Flicks. We're also syndicating the B Team podcast, which is one of my favorites as well.
Oh, I didn't even know the B Team was still going. Are they part of our network now?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that.
They're still pimping out All Games more, because that's their baby. That's their babe. But
I didn't even know All Games was still around.
Oh yeah, they're still going. And we do a lot of collaboration with them too. There's opportunities there, but again, they're a different model. Like they're more set it and forget it, and we're more trying to really, form those lifelong relationships. And it's a process. But
agree.
Down the road, it's gonna be a better thing, a better product, for lack of a better word.
All right, guys. We have Yogi. We got to wrap. Your show's what in 15 minutes?
Yeah. So and if you want to check out all this stuff, there's a lot of great shows. GeekyAntics.net/podcast. That's our aggregate feed, and we're working on a new aggregate feed that will be on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, Play FM, all that stuff. So if you just look up Geeky Antics, you'll eventually find an aggregate feed where all the shows that we syndicate and are exclusive are all in one collective feed.
I was going to ask you about that.
It's working now, and it's not. It's a little janky, so I'm coding it. It's a little pain in the butt. I have to do like all this crazy RSS stuff and a lot of bubble sorting, and it's weird dev stuff.
That's cool because I'm little make the pie thing. I need your help at some point, moving our podcast.
Okay, yeah, we definitely have to talk because another thing we've been toying with is doing hosting, and that's a little bit trickier.
We have my thing is we have the GamingDeath.com. I have Blueberry installed. I just don't know how to transmit, make the RSS feed that I have currently without losing my subscribers and losing iTunes and all that over to the website where I'll publish to the website every week rather than going to Internet Archive, uploading to Internet Archive, going to Blogger, posting it there, and then that's where our RSS feed comes from, is Blogger.
Gotcha. Okay, I think I got a few solutions for you, so we'll talk this week for sure before the week's over.
Please.
Yeah,
I'm gung ho. I'm gonna help out. I want to help out, and I need some help.
Yeah. I'm always a text message or Facebook message away. I may not always respond right away, but I will respond.
I know. All right, guys. If you guys want to get in touch with us, you can send us emails to podcast@gamingdeath.com. You can follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/gamingdeath. We're going to start being a little bit more active there. Remember, we're live each and every Thursday night at about 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on twitch.tv/gamingdeath. Like and review us on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, whichever podcatcher you guys use to listen to the show. And also make sure you guys go over to youtube.com/gamingdeathvideo and check out the podcast goes up there about a week after the podcast has been posted live on iTunes. Yogi, pimp out your shit, son.
Where do I start? So I'm Yogizilla everywhere. I'm very easy to stalk. I really have no concern for my own life or privacy, so go for it. Probably shouldn't advertise that, but whatever.
Yeah, I'm at Death of Nation everywhere.
Yeah. So, Geeky Antics is pretty searchable too. I'm very proud to say that a lot of the stuff that people have contributed, articles, podcasts, stuff, anything that's searchable, a lot of our stuff is showing up on the first page of Google and Bing, which is resulting in a lot of people contacting us for advertising and business opportunities, and also a lot more spam. Apparently, I need penis enlargements, or I have erectile dysfunction. I don't know how they don't know this. I'm pretty happy with how my junk works, but
Yeah, that's the one thing that I have to say I'm very happy with. We're quite high up on the Google results, but I get a shit ton of spam.
There you go. I mean, that's what I tell people. Like, you have to take the good with the bad. So if you're getting the spam, you're getting the trolls, you're doing something right, and keep going. Do not give up. We have the Facebook group for Geeky Antics. Definitely invite you to check us out there. That's the page, not the groups. We have groups that are game specific, but the page, the main hub, is Geeky Antics Network Global. And you can't miss it. As we try to post it 2 or 3 times a day easily. And we put out all our shows and other contributions right there. That's pretty much it. Oh, you know what? And I would like to invite anybody that's playing on Xbox One this weekend, Titanfall 2, to join me. I'm Yogizilla on Xbox Live.
Titanfall 2 this weekend? Are you inviting me?
I would love to play with you. That'd be freaking awesome. I don't know why people poop.
We played some Division, but...
Oh, yeah, I'm down for that, too. I haven't done too much gaming lately because I've been trying to stay focused on work.
Yeah, I've been watching lots of Netflix binging for me.
I know. I don't watch a lot of TV, but when I do, it's binge watching, and it's so bad. It's so bad.
All right, guys, that's gonna do it for tonight. I'm Chris. That's Yogi. This is the Gaming Death Podcast, proudly part of the Geeky Antics Network, and we are the revolution. Good night. Bam. And that is the show.
Noise.
Good night, chat.